everybody. Welcome back to the NCW MVP series brought to you by Career Connect Washington and the Apple STEM Network. My name is Carrie Horning. I am the Career Connected Learning Specialist for Grant County with the NCESD 171. I like to remind everybody our goal is simple: to introduce our community partners throughout North Central Washington to one another. And a win today looks like each of you leaving with a greater understanding of the work that's being done all around North Central Washington. My tagline, I get made fun of, but I love it. So grab your lunch, sit back, and get ready for an extra dose of professional nutrition. Today's most valuable partner is Chuck Sutton, Vice President of Sales and Government Relations with REC Silicon. Welcome, Chuck. Thanks for being our MVP this week.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
I'm honored. So I like to do a little intro and then we'll kind of get right into it. Chuck originally hails from the west side. I learned this, the west side of the mountains, but he made a conscious decision to move over here to the east side and be a true 509er. He's been with REC for 11 years. That one, congratulations. That's just not, that type of dedication is not that common anymore. So congratulations on that. He's a true wanderlust. His travels take him all over the world, both for work and the joy of exploring with family and friends. And traveling is near and dear to me too. So I love this about you, Chuck. We could talk for hours, but I know you have a busy day. So I am going to ask you though, before we get into it, because I always like to have a little fun. What is your top 3 list of locations in the world for exploration, not just sitting around a pool or hanging out at the beach?
Top ones, I think, is probably East Germany, Dresden, Germany, and then even just a little south of that down into Prague, in the Czech Republic. That area is just beautiful. I love Japan. Going into the mountains around Japan and the shrines and that. Those are fabulous. And then just the U.S. Yeah. I mean, just, the very terrain across the U.S. is just fabulous. So even just getting around to different states, and seeing things, I just love that.
Great answer. All right. I'll follow up with you that later, not on a professional time. So, okay. So we do have a lot to get to today. So any of our guests that have questions, I'd like you to hold those to the end. At the end of the chat, we can open up for Q&A, or you can potentially put them in the chat, write them in, and we'll do our best to get to answering those. So here we go. I'm going to start right off. For those of our listeners, even though you're local here in the community, tell us a little bit about REC.
Okay. So REC has been around about 40 years. It's been through different names: Union Carbide, Advanced Silicon Materials, solar grade silicon. On that, we have the plant here in Moses Lake, Washington, and we also have a plant in Butte, Montana. And we make the raw materials that go into semiconductors, solar panels, flat panel displays, your cell phone screens, your computer screens, TVs, those types of things. Also even low emissivity glass on skyscrapers and stuff. So we're kind of into everything.
Yeah, very nice. All right. So I know silicon plays a big role in the clean energy world, but for those who aren't familiar, can you explain how it fits into things like solar panels and batteries?
Yeah. So we're a chemical plant. We call ourselves a silicon materials company, and we primarily make 2 different materials, but then we can make other things with those, and then our customers do different things with those. We take a type of metallurgical sand, and through a distillation process, we turn it into a gas, which is silane gas. And through that process, we can also make other silicon gases from that. The silane gas, therefore, can then go into semiconductors, or set your screens on your phones, and that can go into solar cells on that. So, and then in these next generation silicon batteries that we'll probably hit on a little bit later in the questions. But the other thing we do with our silane gas is we can turn it back into a solid. And with that, we call that polysilicon. And that's a super high purity from anywhere from what we call 9 nines to 11 nines. And so if you take 99%, and then you go 99.9999999 after that. That's where we're at. We're
Wow.
looking at parts per billion, parts per trillion atoms in the process. And then that'll either go to make the wafer that a solar panel is made out of, or the wafer that a computer chip is made out of on that. So we go, so I mean, silicon it's in everything. And you
Yeah.
looked at it, the sensors on your car to let you know if you're going to back into something, to the lights in your houses, like I said, phones, computers and stuff. Everybody thinks of just the simple computer stuff, but silicon is in everything. And
Yeah.
and either our gases or our polys in something.
Okay, now I want to reiterate that point and ask a question. So if I'm a student, say a teacher is showing this in their classroom, and I'm a student, and I heard something about the silicon gas and in my screen. So you're telling me the screen that I'm interviewing you through has that product in it. The phone that might be in their pocket or in their backpack, backpack has that in it. That's how
Yeah,
close to them.
it has some type of silicon, and there's a high percentage that some form of our gas, in one type of our gases or in our polysilicon, it's in there.
Yeah, it's so good for us to learn about this, because I talk about, for those of us who may not know, and my questions, which is including me, I am not an expert on this, but for, all of our students and our regular viewers, to realize that technology is way more than what we know that's in our hands. So I love that you pointed that out. Thank you. Thank you for that. You think about that. They probably have a phone in their pocket. They have a computer in front of them, a TV at home, and all things in between. So, yeah, good information.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so REC Silicon has been in the solar game for quite a while. How has the company changed to keep up with the growing demand for clean energy? And what's something new or exciting right now that you're pretty excited about?
Um, how we've changed is we've had to invest in improving our quality. Over the last several years, the market's changed, and solar panels have gotten more efficient. Computer chips have gotten smaller. And that. So to be able to do that, for our customers to do that, they have to have higher quality material. So the solar panel is taking sunlight and converting it to energy. And if there's defects in there, it's going to slow down that conversion or block that conversion. Similar to a computer chip, if you're trying to make it smaller, if there's impurities, that becomes a bigger portion of that chip. So we've had to improve our quality. We've also done a lot of automation. Like here in Moses Lake, we put in a lot of automation in our packaging process. I know people ask about, well, what does that do for jobs? And I like to look at it as it improves the jobs. It gives people, as opposed to somebody doing, a manual labor position, maybe they're doing a programming position or something a little bit more technical, not super technical, but I think it creates a lot more opportunities when you're talking automation. So I think that's one of the things that's most exciting about me, is seeing where the energy transition is going and the next generation of computer chips, along with these improved job opportunities and just where that's going.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Even tomorrow, we're hosting a computer science fair and college and career expo over at Big Bend Community College. And that's really what we're talking to the students about. Listen, in the world of computer science or IT, there is every job. Same if you flip that coin and talk about agriculture or hospitality or healthcare, that the jobs just go across the span of the industry. And so to talk about automation not being a bad thing, but giving new job opportunities, I think is that's a notion that we're trying to share with the students as well, and let them know there's a lot of great jobs right here in our backyard. So I like that. Good answer. So speaking of right here in our backyard with having REC, it's really becoming, Moses Lake is really, and I don't want to just pinpoint Moses Lake, so let me retract and back up and say North Central Washington, Grant County, we're becoming really a big hub for clean energy. How does that impact our local community? How does REC, being here, impact the community, and what kind of opportunities do you see, coming in the future?
Yeah, I think it's two parts to that. One is REC ourselves, and we've worked hard. We've had some challenges here over the last several years. We've worked hard to get our plant restarted and opportunities. And we've had some silicon anode battery companies coming into the area, so it's given us some opportunities to work with other folks and kind of build the supply chain locally on that. And that's pretty exciting. And then I think it also gives opportunity for their customers or their suppliers to come into Grant County or into Central Washington for that matter. I think at the same time working with the Port of Moses Lake, the Grant County Economic Development Council, we've kind of even the governor's office, and that we've worked to kind of build this area to say, we have this great community college, we have these great different industrial businesses here. We can support some other stuff. I mean, the port's brought in Stokes and some of the other places they brought in. 12 has come in with their sustainable aviation fuel. So I think when you look at it, is people are recognizing the talent pool that's available around here, the beautiful area, and the sunshine we get. So this is kind of, I guess, people gravitating because the community, the ports, everybody's supportive of that. And we're building this talent base, and as trying to work on building a workforce training program to be able to feed this, and that's coming along. So I think it just kind of builds on that, and then it brings in other opportunities when you look at whether it's other small businesses, restaurants, the hospital's growing, both here, Moses Lake and in Quincy. So I think overall it just makes for a healthier community, and it's exciting opportunities. I think when I look at that, and been in the area 40 years, it's the growth is, for me, is exciting.
Yeah, I would agree. I've been here since 85. And to be honest with you, some days I find it hard to believe. And when I started this job in 2018 and had the opportunity to actually, drive down the road and learn what was happening in all the buildings, out that way, it blew my mind. The fact that they're global, and, there are these amazing careers that, again, span the breadth of business. It's really exciting. So, as somebody who's come from, both sides of it, and I'm working in it now with a lot of you, but I've also been on the outside where I don't know anything about it. Is there anything that you can tell us that, how are some of these new companies working together? Is REC partnering with anybody down the road, or anybody else in the area in the work that you're doing?
Yeah, we do it multiple ways. We're part of the Grant County Industrial Alliance, which is the industries across the Grant County, which covers all the different types of manufacturing and data centers and that. And we work with local communities, whether it's just education of what's available out here for people, or whether it's on some of the food programs. And that, and along with the college and some of those programs. Then we have our, if you want to call it, our close neighbors just here out in the area of town where we're at, where the same thing is trying to work on some workforce alliance programs to say how as we both grow, we need to make sure there's stable workforce that comes up. There's power programs for energy as we grow that we need. There's just different things in the community, Boys and Girls Club, the Chamber, the Cancer Society. Those are things. Yeah. I mean, we're all part of that, and we all know each other and say, hey, we're responsible for this. We need to be involved and help do that.
Yeah, that's, again, great answer, because I think there's so much going on behind the scenes that a lot of people, maybe don't know about. And when I say a lot, I'm talking about just in general, our community. If you don't have a connection into some of the industry growth, then maybe you're not aware of just how involved all of the businesses really are. I mean, the Boys and Girls Club, Skill Source and Work Source, the college, my job, career connected learning, I say it every time I walk into a room. I can't do my job without people like you volunteering to share information and help us, share that out with the community and the students. So there really is a lot going on behind the scenes. So thank you for pointing those out. I appreciate that. I know we still have a couple questions, and I feel like I'm jumping in and asking kind of some subsidiary questions, in between. I hope that's all right, but let's.
Perfectly fine.
All right, good. Let's keep moving through here a little bit. So clean energy can sometimes feel like a big far off thing. What do you think people and communities can do to gain a greater understanding, and how can companies like yours, like REC, help make that connection?
But I think if just starting with solar, because that's kind of what we're known for right now, that's already out there as the cheapest form of energy being built today. I understand there's some challenges and some things against it, that it's not 24/7, but it helps in peak times when the sun's up and things are hot and AC units are running, or you need to do that. But as battery development comes on, I think we'll get energy storage, and that'll happen. But even with solar, it's a small percentage of the overall power mix. So it's going to take a long time to get that growth going and be significant. So I think there's a lot of opportunity when you look at solar and you look at batteries and that. So the other part of it is, as the demand grows, then you'll scale up business, and as that scales up, you lower your costs even more. So if people are concerned about that, the cost will be come down on things as those projects scale up. I think the other part that you hear about is on low carbon or carbon emissions or those. And it's small steps, and as everybody's doing that, I think that comes into play more and more. But it's not leaps and bounds and things that you have to do. I think it's small steps over time that are going to make significant changes on that. So to me, that's kind of exciting that's coming around in that. And as you look at again, phones and batteries and automotives, everybody's working that direction. The technology's just continuing to grow, and I could talk about that technology all day long. But
I'm sure. Yeah, that's all right. I keep going back to the fact that I know very little about all of this, and I tried to get smart on each of the companies and the technologies prior to the interviews. But I still don't know much about it. And yet here I am working with you. So when I think about somebody who might be listening, especially here in our own hometown area, I'm trying to remember, to keep that very kind of high level, like if I was to even to pull that thread through the interviews that I've done already for the MVP series this fall. When we talk about clean energy, we're talking about, hey, these companies are trying to make everything get more fuel efficient, more energy efficient, longer lasting, less expensive. And really, that all comes down to the consumer, right? All of a sudden, we can go farther, we can pull heavier equipment, we can do it for longer. And those are the things that I think probably that the listeners are kind of queuing in for. Like, wait, does that mean, my battery's going to last longer in my phone or my car, or I'm going to pull in better solar power, whatever that is. I feel like that's probably the catch, what they're listening for.
Yeah, and I think kind of one of the other things that probably not out there much, and we don't toot our horn enough about, but if you go back 20 years ago, and the size of this plant and the amount of power that we consumed to where we're at coming up now, we're at 5 times the production, at roughly half the power that we used to use. So the technology changes that we made, at the same time, the quality improvements, it's lowered the cost. It's made the carbon emissions lower. It's cleaner technology, more efficient. It's exciting, just the amount of changes we've made over the years and continue to make.
Yeah, congratulations. I get that. I'm married to a farmer. So, when I first moved here and all those, irrigation circles were, spreading that the water all over the place, and I mean on their circles, but still it was just on top, and it was, the wind might blow it and whatnot. But now we've all got the drop down hoses, and it's very defined. You can get the overview photography of it and see just where the dry spots are. I mean, the technology is helping us all in everything that we're doing. And again, that's such a great part of this region and our area. We're so diverse. So anyways, yeah. Congratulations.
And just to, I guess, same thing is to use a farming reference. And I like to use it. And I actually, I learned it from some folks out in your area. It's this, when you look at our scale up and our technology change, it's kind of the same difference that you see in farming when you're doing a swiper versus a full circle in that, and the labor and the efficiency and the yields and everything that, one versus the other. And that's where, conceptually, that's where we're going. That's why we're scaling up. That's why we're changing technology is to get those same types of benefits that you look for in farming.
Yeah. Well, I always tell, when we talk about technology in agriculture, when you were sharing that, your product is in our screens, when our, kiddos were little, we'd go down to the river boating. And there was one Sunday afternoon where my husband was, sitting on the boat and his feet are up and he's on his phone. And I was like, hey, you're busy all week, farming, engage. And he's like, I'm changing water. I'm working right now. Do you want me to, haul us all back up to the farm, or want me to do it right here? And I'm like, oh no, you stay right there to focus on, changing that water from right where you're at. So technology is a good thing. That's for sure. So
It is.
yeah, well, good. Well, let's move on here. So, speaking of that, really, everybody is talking a lot about sustainability, but that's not always an easy conversation, especially in this area. So, what are some of the biggest challenges that REC has when you're kind of working through trying to be more sustainable, and how are you tackling those challenges?
Yeah, we are a publicly listed company.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't know that. Maybe they don't, understand that. As that we're listed actually in Norway. We're not listed
Mm-hmm.
here in the US. So we follow European standard when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to sustainability. And, I see some of the people when they, see articles about us and we don't make comments. One of the reasons we don't make comments is because if we talk or do something like this conversation, we'll put it on our website. It has to be all equal for our shareholders. But the same thing with sustainability. It's in the interest of our shareholders, in the interest of our employees and our community members.
Yeah.
So we look at supply chain. We look at our different stakeholders and what they're looking for. We look at all our different what we call scope emissions, what we're doing, what our suppliers are doing. So it's like I said, our energy consumption, we're consuming less than we did years ago. So for us, when it looks at sustainability, it's a very, very big umbrella that it covers that. And, and there's stuff in the US we need to abide by. There's stuff in Europe that we need to, follow to and report out on. So, I mean, it's our whole supply chain. We ask our suppliers what they're doing. We're looking at energy consumption, the materials that we use, what goes into them. If you want to, looking at all that.
Yeah, that's great. So one question that this brought to mind again for me is, and you hear me reference it often when I do the MVP series, they're recorded, and then our teachers are able to show these to our students. And again, that's making that connection between local companies and local careers and the skills that are necessary for those careers, and our students and our teachers. And so when I think about that, I always like to kind of let the students know, like, yep, REC Silicon's right here in our backyard. It's a great company to work for. There are great opportunities. However, it's global. So if we were to kind of backtrack a little bit about that globally, if somebody was to start here in a career, could they find themselves working in REC internationally?
No, not
No?
in our current sense, but
Okay.
because we just have the one plant here in Moses Lake and the one in Montana.
Okay.
But we have a variety of jobs, from different operators and technicians, accounting, the full breadth, instrument, electrical, welders. People can come in here with degrees. They can come in with different certificates. They can come in, out of high school into certain positions and learn and grow in the business, and like myself over the years, I've worked in different departments inside the plant. And it's been a very fun and rewarding career. And I know, some of the other people in here have grown up to that or have moved on to positions with some other companies locally here. So I think, if there's a high school student or a college student that's looking for something, there's many opportunities here that we can, depending on what they want to do, that's available.
Yeah, well, one of my earlier interviews with a gentleman I know you know very well, he spoke very highly of RAC throughout his interview, even though he's with another company. And I think that speaks highly too. It's a reminder for our students that you have to start somewhere. And oftentimes it might be pushing a broom or pulling double shifts. But if you stick with it and are, continuing to learn, you can find yourself as, a managing director, a plant director, et cetera. So I think that's a very high compliment to RAC for sure. So, well, I want to check in with you. We're running out of time here. I definitely, if there's some questions and people want to raise their hand or pop that in the chat, they can do so. But I also want to just ask if there is anything that we didn't cover, or maybe that we started to cover that you want to go in a little bit deeper on. Any thoughts for you there?
No, I think we covered it well. We're trying to keep it high level. So maybe I didn't go into as much depth as people hoped or something. I mean, I can get super technical and just talk about one item or the other for hours on end, but
yeah, that's okay. Probably not. This is probably not the super technical interview for that. So that's okay. So let me do one more check-in. Is there anyone in the live guests that wants to ask a question? If so, just let us know. Otherwise, we're going to do a quick wrap up. We do have one question. Where do you see yourself in the company in the next 5 years?
Again, as a publicly traded company and forward-looking statements, this is another one of those areas that I can't comment a lot on. But I think if you look at our quarterly releases that are out there, we are looking to grow the business. We're focused on some transitions at our Montana plant right now. We're the restart of the Moses Lake plant. We've working with some of the silicon anode next generation battery stuff. So I getting that stabilized and growing that and looking at opportunities. I think there's great opportunities for us as we go forward.
Yeah, taking care of the job at hand, right? Yeah. I love that. Well, listen, I want to say, Chuck, we met in 2018 when I started this work, and I'm kind of a little bit of a bird dog. I'm constantly coming after you and everybody to help out. Like I said, can't do career connected learning without all of you. But this has been a huge honor. I'm not going to lie, I was nervous, but I'm so glad that you came on and took the time to talk to me, to talk to our students, everybody who's listening. So I want to thank you very much. I know you're busy, but I also know that you put community first. And so thanks for being our MVP this week. For everybody who joined us, I appreciate you joining us. We will wrap this video up and distribute this probably well, you know what? Usually I do it within the same day to 24 hours, but we have 2 very big events tomorrow. So I'll do that on Friday. So you can look for the recording on Friday. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us. And Chuck, thanks again for being my guest.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the invite.